Hello, everyone. How's things going? This is my second podcast that I'm doing. Yeah. Uh, if you like the content, please tick the bell notification and subscribe. I'll continue to do these until I hopefully get some people out there who are interested in listening to a guy called Keddmann in Australia, and who's got a few things to say about life. And yeah, you know, just chatting. All right, it's beautiful 24th of January, 2025, and it's a lovely day today. It's about 30 degrees, uh, still in the morning. And yeah, I want to just briefly touch on the fact that I'm a Canadian that has come to Australia, but I have family out here on my mom's side. My mom is still alive. She is 98 years of age. I'm going to be visiting her soon um, to check out her telephones. I believe there's something wrong with it. And what we have in the news is that Trump has been inaugurated and he's in power and put all these sweeping uh, legislations in and whatnot. Um, Hopefully, they'll come to fruition. That will be refreshing, as the other administration wasn't very kind to the American people. Our current situation here in Australia is we're leading up to an election, and the two-party paradigm is a very interesting thing because many people out there believe in it and see it as a platform for change when realistically the left, right, it's all the same. They're all the same players. They're actors, and they all have handlers telling them what to do, and they have scripts that they've got to read, and they give piecemeal to the public sectors when we desperately need it in education, we need it in our hospitals, we need our nurses well paid, we need first responders well paid, and it always seems to be struggling. And we have a really hard working workforce with blue collar workers. I mean, the truckies, they work their butts off going from Melbourne to Sydney to Brisbane and all over, delivering goods. And uh, they do it tough. And our farmers, wow, do they ever need help? Um, it's all about buying local. We buy local and support two fantastic butchers. And yeah, you know, we should. We have everything that we need in this country. We have beautiful fruits and vegetables, and when you have lovely chickens like we do, we have our own chickens, and yet eggs are scarce in the supermarket. Yeah, so I came out here in 1987. I grew up in Canada in the snow, and I was born in Saskatoon. And if you look it up on the map, it's pretty much in the middle of Canada. Um, in Saskatchewan, that's a mouthful. Excuse me. Capital of Saskatchewan is Regina, which is a very funny name, but we won't go there. Yeah, I got to try and keep the ums down. Yeah, so we moved to Winnipeg, bloody freezing there, and then moved to Ottawa where my sister lives, and then moved to Vancouver. My dad worked for the government. He was in air transport, and then he moved over into the Coast Guard. He traveled all over the Arctic. looking at weather stations and checking out what's going on up in the Arctic in places like Inuvik, Resolute Bay, Frobisher Bay. Even went right up to Alert, which is right up the top, and it's a Canadian Air Force base, but it's right up there, and magical place. He even has a special plaque that uh, says that he's passed the Arctic Circle and he's attended Alert. So not too many people get up that way. Um, yeah, and my father was in the war, World War II. He was a merchant. He was in the British Merchant Navy. He was a radio officer. Went to sea when he was 15. And his first voyage was 9 months. So for a young man, a teenager, a 9 month adventure is quite something. And he was in the war years. He has many medals because he was in a convoy that went around the Rock of Gibraltar to Malta, and that was quite harrowing. He got sunk off the coast of Portugal. There was only a handful of men out of about, I think it was 55, and it was only one life raft was picked up, and there was about 5 men, and one of those men was my father. So he was in large convoys going across the North Atlantic, and the U-boats used to pop up and then fire at the. They used to pick the oil tankers so they'd light up the sky, and then they'd just go. He was one time he took because they did get had massive engine trouble. They were strafed by the guns of a U-boat, and they were adrift for I think it was nearly 50 days, and they even drifted right up to like Greenland. But they were going from Liverpool to Halifax in Canada and Nova Scotia. So he had a lot of memories about that, and I encouraged him later in his life to uh, go online, and he took a community college course on how to use a computer, and then I bought him a computer laptop, and then he started using that, and so he started at that when he was 80 years of age. Pretty amazing stuff. And he started downloading all these photos of all of the ships that he was on, because he was in Merchant Navy from 1942 to 1952, where he met my mother in Australia because his sister was out here, and then they got married in Launceston in Tasmania, and then had my sister, and then my dad, through my mom's dad, my grandfather, he was part editor and owner of the Sydney Morning Herald. Quite an interesting man. Robert Rolfe. He actually knew Menzies. So for you people out there with knowledge of Australian politics, he was a former prime minister. They were a rich family. My parents, my mother side, my dad wasn't. He only just had his seaman salary, but it was love at first sight, and they hadn't known each other for very long, about about a week or so, and they got married. And their honeymoon was up in Coolangatta, and they could have bought a block of land at Coolangatta for £30, and the block of land was like, I think he said it was 5 acres of land. Imagine what that'd be worth today. Wow, amazing. Yes, so there's quite a lot of stories. My father went to in the geophysical year of Antarctica, 1957, 1958. The Antarctica Treaty was signed in 1959, where they shut Antarctica down. Uh, and people would probably say, "Oh, yeah, but you can go on a cruise." That little cruise goes on a tiny little isthmus sticking out of the ice there. And he went to Antarctica, my father, to a little place, Australian territory called Macquarie Island. And he was there for just over a year. He wintered down there. And his job was radio officer. And his job was to count all the emperor penguins and report back, which was well over a million. But I've got his diary of his account there. He wrote one diary to my mother, which was full of all his love for her and some poetry and then some stories for my sister who was really young. But his other diary is more work related, but it's got a lot of interesting stories in it. So at some point I will write it all down and put it into a book format and publish it. I also have my grandfather, that's Robert Rolfe, his diary from 1916 to 1918. He was a war correspondent for the Herald. So, yeah, that is a fascinating read. However, he wrote in pencil. So, my wife and I have been slowly translating it, and we're about a third through. We're in a rough patch at the moment, but we're putting it on digital format and then we're going to publish that as well. Um, Very, very interesting diary. Very interesting about what was going on. And he was on the Somme, and his dispatches were going to the Times in London as well. So, very, I've got a very interesting background and interesting characters, including my uncle during the war, World War II. He was a conscientious objector. So my father and him didn't get along very well. Um, my uncle, my matey was married to Albert. Albert was the conscientious objector. He was a painter and very sort of a strange man. From Canada, we used to go over to Scotland quite a bit. I learned to walk in Scotland. I had my first ice cream there. I no longer can eat ice cream. Yeah, very funny. Derry and me are the best friends, but that's okay. That happens in life. I'm going to make this short, about sort of 20-ish minutes. I'm hoping I get people to ask questions and say, "Hey, can you expand on that?" But I've had a lot of experience in teaching and teaching disadvantaged kids and teaching really smart kids and amazing kids. And I always said when I went in for the very first time to a classroom is if I could just make one student smile and remember me and some of the funny things that I say, and I change just the way their outlook is on life, I think I've done something right. And it's kind of funny. Yesterday, I was in Big W, and I was getting a cup of mice. There's the new one right here. It's Bluetooth, which is great because I was always using a little dongle thing. And these two kids come up to me, "Hey, Mr. Kitty, what are you doing?" And I just said, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And they again saw me a bit later in the food court because I was getting a kebab. Um, but yeah, it's very, very funny when those things happen. Um, uh, they were, I taught them 2 years ago, and they remember me. They're going to be going into year 9 this year. For those of you not in Australia, if you come across this, the Australian it's the school holidays at the moment, and school goes back for teachers in public education on the 30th of January and 31st. That's the Thursday, Friday, and then the beginning of February. There, the kids will start going back. The Catholic system goes back on the 31st for Staff Development Day, and yeah, that's how they operate. We do have an Anglican school here, which is huge. They have preschool all the way up to 12, and they are already back. Oh, no, wait a minute. They go back on just after Australia Day, which is, we recognize Australia Day on the 27th will be a holiday, but it's actually 26th is Australia Day, which it really should be. And I'll say something controversial. Nothing like a little bit of controversy out there, people. Uh, gets people thinking. I think it should be the 1st of January, which is the federation. That's when we sign. We're a country federation. I think the 26th is the invasion day, but you know. I also think we should not have the Union Jack in our flag. So there's another controversial thing. I think we should have acknowledgement to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders because it is their land, and they were here way before us, and they know all about this place, and they know what to eat, what to look after, how to manage the land, and beautiful, beautiful people, and we should acknowledge that. I know we do in many other ways, but hey, look, it's our flag. Come on. Anyway, enough of that. One of the things is I'm writing a novel. It's a kind of a dystopian type of thing based on Dante's Inferno, and procrastination is very. It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. When you've got to have a routine, and I've done all the research that I need to do. I'm using AI to help me out, and I'm learning how to use AI. I'm trying different AI generators and things like this. Hit and miss. I have found some good ones. A lot of them are very expensive. Well, that's for sure. I've even tried Midjourney and whatnot, but when you've got limited access to these free, these paying ones, it's tricky. So I'm gonna have a tackle this afternoon, a pseudo write, and see how I go with that, and see if I can get any success with that. I might actually get a membership and pay for that in the limited funds we have. Oh, uh, yes. So a little bit of an, I guess, an aside. Uh, the well, you know, we can look at life in a we can look at it in a really negative way if we really want to, and get down and embrace the fear that's pushed in the mainstream media all the time. And I don't ever like we don't watch TV here. Haven't watched any mainstream television for 15, maybe more years. I know there's lots of reality TV, and there's the game shows, and there's the project, and there's all these ridiculous things just pushing around the paradigm, getting stuff out into the zeitgeist that is just really not cool. Uh, and I, I'd rather be optimistic, and I'd rather be uh, a person who embraces the beautiful world we have around us than put a mask on and hide behind that face diaper and be afraid. I'm not afraid. And during the COVID, oh, I might get censored. Damn it. Divock 19. There we go. That's better. Say it backwards. I didn't, I wasn't full of fear. What for? Uh, Neither was my wife. Why not? You just go about your life. There's no need to be afraid. Uh, we have beautiful immunities, and if you eat the right foods, hey, okay, man. That's probably going to be a bit of a controversy, but hey, whatever. Uh, there's lots of controversies in life, and I'm not the type of person that's gonna run with the sheep ever. No, fringe dweller here. I have been anyway. I was at school, and I just maintain that. I'm not arrogant about it. There's no point. What do you need to be? Some people are. They rule by ego, and ego's a very funny thing. When you're happy within your own skin, you should be okay with things. I don't rule by ego. I've always tried, especially as a teacher, never to reveal that, or put someone down because of a particular value that I have. I think whoever you are, you are. And when you're young, you're shaping everything in your life to make yourself walk through life, hopefully in a wonderful, positive way with full family support. I know a lot of families are do it super tough, and there's broken down marriages and things like that. But if you can try and maintain a positive outlook, that aura that you have around you, it becomes a wonderful, beautiful frequency, and it rubs off on other people. It does all the time. It will, because you don't have to be exuberantly jumping around going, "Ha," and people are thinking you're some kind of madman, or weirdo or clown. It's just doing all those little tiny things, you know, uh, and that's okay. And I think I was in my very first one. I know I rambled a bit, but that was the kind of the message I was going for there too. And again, I've come right round to that point again. So, my next one I'm going to do, which will most likely be tomorrow, which will be Saturday. I'm going to have a look a little bit at breaking cognitive dissonance, and talk a little bit about mental health and PTSD, and depression, because I was diagnosed with PTSD, and that wasn't fun. It was a journey that you have to get through, and just some of the things to maybe help you get out of depression, and how to just raise that beautiful chrism oil and your frequency, just and make it awesome. Eat alkaline foods, people. Yes, mushrooms are great. Vegan chicken is mushrooms, what they call it, don't they? Um, yeah, lemon limes. Have lemon in your water. Beautiful. That's what every morning I have a little dose of lemon in my just a glass of filtered water. Yummy. It just gets your pH level pretty cool. Um, as acidic foods not good. Processed foods no good. No, 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 no. And people, honestly, from the preach, before I sign off, read labels. When I go in the supermarket, that's what I'm doing. I'll even say to the person next to me, why is this jar of pickles from Poland? Does Poland only make pickles? It's come a long way to Australia. Wow. And if it's come by ship, it was like on a truck that's gone to where? Like, where did it go from Poland? Like, did it go to like the Netherlands? And then it went on a ship in Amsterdam, and then the ship went all the way around through the Suez Canal and came down, and then it stopped, and they unloaded pickles in Perth, and then they unloaded pickles in Adelaide, and then Melbourne, and then up to Sydney, and it sat at the docks, and then all the Coles, because these are pickles going to Coles, not Woolies, because Woolies have a different brand of Coles, and their pickles are from Chechnya or Croatia. Yeah, and it goes on a different journey entirely. It ends up in a port in Italy. And that's how the woolly one goes. I always think about the journey of these jars or these, and isn't it funny? I got to bring this up because I will talk about it again because I've done my research. You get a jar of tuna, and it doesn't matter what brand it is, irrelevant. Pick pick out every brand of tuna, and you'll see it's all made in Thailand, right? And you're like, okay, interesting. Doesn't matter the brand. Hmm. Then zoom over to like aisle 8 or 9. This is in Coles. I don't know the awesome numbers in Woolies. It doesn't matter. Pick up the tuna for the cats. What? Where do you think it's from? Thailand. What does that get you thinking? Hmm. Now, we had 2 cats. Our beautiful Mr. Titus passed away about 4 weeks ago. I'm very sad. He was 15, Russian blue cat, lovely. Boots is still alive. He's 11, 12. Yeah. He's just sitting down there asleep. We I did a test. I bought a can of John West tuna and I bought just that brand of tuna. Uh, Tried to make sure it wasn't full of glue, but gave him the human one, gobbled it up. No, the other one, cow one, didn't really like it, and he got massive diarrhea from it. But the human one, he got diarrhea too. Yeah, and the human one, oh God, his shit. I can say shit. I think so. Whoa, did it smell? So we went, no tuna, man. I'm just going to put that out there. Anyone can comment, but you wonder, is it, I know it's fish byproduct. What do they call it? Not byproduct. I said it wrong. When they get the net and they drag it along the ground, the seabed. Um, there's a term for it. Ah, damn, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll bring it up again. But there we go. I've hit 27, so uh, thanks for watching, and hopefully you got a little bit out of it. Maybe you even had a bit of a laugh and think you're a very strange person, but that's okay. So say hello to anyone out there, and don't. It's okay to open a door for someone. All right, over and out. Catch you later. Till next time. Oh, please like. Thank you. Oh, and comment. Love it. Great.